Hello and welcome back. Thank you, as always, for joining me. We are going to do something that I'm always willing to do, and that is to take a pause out of our progression through the text of A Course in Miracles here on this series of videos to address a question asked by one of you. Now, before we get into this, I do want to share right off the bat here that I'm always open to this. It is really always very interesting. And as a guide for you, I am very interested in what's coming up for you live. So if you have a suggestion or a question or a topic of conversation that you'd like to have me take a video or two or three to discuss, then I'm more than willing to do that. So I thank you for asking this question. It has to do with passing away, what we call death here in the world, and what is A Course in Miracles' take on what happens on the other side, as we say here in the world. Great question. The backdrop for this is, well, we all have lots of this in our world. So, in my own instance, about 9 days ago, my own father passed away very quickly, and it was both expected and not expected, which I'll say some more about for sure, right? Because we're talking about spirituality, and we're talking in particular about A Course in Miracles. So that was the backdrop for that. In fact, that's going on right now. My wife, Cindy, and I will be traveling to Texas for the memorial service, which is going to take place in a few days' time. And here in our lives, weddings and funerals, and maybe somebody's graduation ceremony are some of the only occasions where we all tend to get together. So that's what's going on the screen of life in the dream. So whenever someone leaves the physical body behind, it's both expected and, well, not expected. I mean, nobody here in our linear concept of time expects somebody to just up and pass away, even if they're sick. I mean, maybe if they're terminally ill or something like that, then we tend to expect that a little bit more. But it still always seems to come as a surprise. And of course, this person's passing away is to be 100% expected because this is a dream and it doesn't last. It is an illusion like the world itself. There is no world. And all of the other things that we appear to see here. So, if you're not familiar with the Course in Miracles, you just heard the central teaching of this course. There is no world. This series of videos, like the course itself, is uncompromising on that. You deserve nothing less. It's true. You deserve nothing less. So, this is a great question. We use the word death, we use the verb to die to describe the leaving behind of the physical body, which is inevitable. I mean, it's inevitable because God is the only reality, and anything that changes, God does not change, by the way, nor transform. So anything that shifts at all, anything that transforms, anything that changes in any way, shape, or form is, in fact, illusion. Which begs the question, all right, what do we do about that? Great question. We'll talk about it. But here, let's back up for a moment and take a look at how we tend to view all of this. In reality, we actually don't. truly know what happens when somebody passes away. What happens to them? We know what happens to us. We grieve. We're shocked, or maybe not shocked, but sad. There's a lot of raw emotionality to it. And then in the weeks and months to come, we've got to deal with all of their stuff. Oh, and I'll be doing that in conjunction with my dad's wife and my sister and a lot of us because he had a lot of stuff. So yeah. There are things that follow this passing, and all of the raw emotionality that goes along with that. It is a perfectly normal part of our lives, and we tend to wonder. When we wonder this all the time, whether someone we know is passing away or not, what is the supposed other side like? Where do people go? Yeah, and our world spiritual and religious systems have come up with a multiplicity of different ideas about that. So you just heard me say, there is no world. That is the central teaching of A Course in Miracles. Anything that shifts or changes or wobbles on its axis, anything at all, is illusion if it is not the permanent, total, perfect oneness of God. Happily, for all of us, for you, for me, for your worst political enemy and your ex, and your kids and your dog, and everyone that you love, every single one of us, happily, the physical body is not you. And you do know this. If you did not, you would not be interested in spirituality because at some point, and I don't know exactly when that was, and perhaps you remember and maybe not, at some point you formulated the thought that there's got to be more to it than this. Oh man, is there ever? So here's where the course may blow your mind. Maybe. I don't know. In truth, I never know how someone's going to receive the material. You don't know how somebody's going to receive the Holy Spirit, which is what's going on right now. This is a pixelated image on your screen. It's an assemblage of electronic dots. It's constellated in the shape of a middle-aged man with some gray hair and stuff. There's nothing special at all about the outward form. What's important is the message that you get from the Holy Spirit, your inner teacher. We tend to think of this thing that we've labeled time as some sort of a giant mystery, as an enigma, and we seem to experience it in a linear format from 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour to the next, one day to the next, and even if you go along with this, one lifetime to the next. Incidentally, if you go along with it, I just said that because if the concept of one successive lifetime after another is helpful to you, great. If it's not helpful to you and you don't go in for that at all, don't worry about it. That's straight out of the manual for teachers. It could be very helpful to some people to let them disidentify with this guy. This is not the end, which you do know. So we tend to think of all of this as one succession, a linear progression of time. And that's the way we experience it here in the world. But time is an illusion. It changes. It's a separation device where we have attempted to separate ourselves from our brother in time. There are people that appear to have gone before us in this idea of linear time. And there will appear to be people that are not born yet that are going to be born and come after us in linear time. And here in the present moment, we've subdivided the illusion of the world, the spinning ball of rock, into 24 15-degree slices of longitude that we call time zones. So even right now, the pixelated image on your screen appears to be in this wild and completely made up idea of Mountain Standard Time in North America, as opposed to Mountain Daylight Time, which is going on right now in North America. And if you happen to live someplace where you don't have those distinctions, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning here, and you appear to be separate, possibly in time. Maybe you're watching this in the middle of the night where you are, or the evening. We appear to be separate from each other in time, and we appear to be separate from one another in space as well, in these different time zones, in different parts of this wobbling, spinning ball of rock that we've mistakenly taken for our home. Now, you heard that, mistakenly. And you do know this. Yeah, you might find yourself thinking, dude, what are you talking about? A Course in Miracles. Welcome. You may have asked. Yeah. We tend to see all of this as a linear progression, which prompts the excellent question, what happens to somebody when they die? Well, and here's what's going on, actually. Time is an illusion. So everything is actually appearing to be happening at once. It is not a linear progression of one lifetime after another, though we may tend to experience it that way. It's all happening right now, past and future lifetimes happening right now. What we deem to be this current lifetime, where we appear to be this, that's all happening right now, which can be mind blowing and really profound and really cool when you understand true forgiveness. So, what happens to somebody when they pass away? Well, not a single one of us has ever gone anywhere. Ideas leave not their source. This is a very, very often quoted and indeed famous line from A Course in Miracles. What this in fact means is that thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker, but they don't leave their source. A thought remains in the mind that thought the thought. There it is, in the mind. We're thoughts of God, all of us. And in fact, not plural, but the singular thought of God. It appears to be 8 billion plus of us running amok here, plus all the other countless life forms. That's simply an appearance. Thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. We're known as the thought of God here in A Course in Miracles, and thoughts remain in the mind of the thinker. Ideas, thoughts, the Son of God, you, me, everybody. Ideas leave not their source, capital S. We've never left our home in God. All of this is, in fact, an illusion. So, have people fully awakened, or have they not in their current lifetime? Because the current lifetime is going to appear to come to an end. What goes on then is 100% between the person who appears to have passed away, that thinks that he or she is a split individual mind, and our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. What this may look like is it may look like reviewing another dream lifetime or not, depending on the, well, amount of forgiveness work that you've done and how much you've set aside the ego, how much you've lifted the veil that covers our eyes. how much you've allowed truth to be just as it is. So, where is my dad right now? Well, where we all are, really, truly, perfectly at home in God. It's where you are. This is a dream. All of these supposedly successive linear experiences, lifetimes, or moments in this current lifetime, they're all actually appearing to happen at once. And here's the deal, I'm stressing appearing to happen because they never did. This is all a review of things long gone by. This is a famous idea from A Course in Miracles. Here's what it means by that. This separation, this mad dream of separation from God never took place. It's said in many places here in A Course in Miracles that this tiny mad idea of separation, of wanting to run off and have a party by ourselves with our own bar and our own bartender because we didn't like heaven's party. It was boring or something. Yeah, that actually never happened. We're invited here as students of A Course in Miracles to accept what the Course refers to as atonement for ourselves. This means to accept the correction of our inner teacher, to allow the Holy Spirit to correct our perception, to turn it right side up, because it is upside down. He can't do that without our help, without our willingness to let him do it. Our little willingness to do that. That's what we supply. He does the rest. So when this begins to hit home, it's incredibly profound. It's a game changer, in other words, as you well know if you've experienced this. So here in the dream, we can spend a lot of time wondering about where somebody is right now. Are they in a better place than this? I don't know. I mean, you may get some intuitive hits one way or another. Yeah. No, your heart may tell you one thing or another. I don't really know. The truth is, we've never gone anywhere. So I mentioned a few minutes ago the power of true forgiveness. Surprise, surprise. That is the practical centerpiece of A Course in Miracles. It's what we do, it's what we put into practice moment to moment in our daily lives. Because all of this illusion appears to be taking place at once, the forgiveness work that you do now affects the entire dream. Previous lifetimes, future lifetimes, all of it. Forgive, 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 forgive. And we don't actually know when we have a forgiveness opportunity in this lifetime, whether that corresponds to some subconscious guilt, unconscious guilt from another lifetime or from this lifetime. It doesn't really matter. The Holy Spirit knows that. We don't have to bother ourselves with that. We just forgive what's in front of our face right now. And you're forgiving future lives. You're forgiving past lives. It's all appearing to happen at once. And it never, in fact, took place. Central to this idea of our accepting atonement for ourselves is acknowledgement that the separation never occurred. It never took place. It is impossible to leave your source, capital S. If you've never really paused to let that sink in, I fully get it. But do that and do it again. So we also tend to think of when people pass away or die or buy the farm or or whatever language we choose to employ when they cross over. We use this term crossing over or going to a different place or being on the other side. There's no other. The very concept of other is a separation idea because it implies that there's one place and another place. No, there's not. It implies that there's one individual self-sustaining survival unit and another individual self-sustaining survival unit. No, there is not. There's no separation of any kind. You're not separate from your brother. Our mind appears to be split, thinking that we're a cut off little fragment of the whole. It's a gross limitation. And as you begin to practice true forgiveness, as this course presents it and invites you to practice it, you begin to have a completely different idea and a completely different experience. And is it liberating? Yeah. If you've been doing it, you will know. Now, if you're just joining us thinking, man, this is kind of far out, well, you deserve nothing less than full awakening. I mean, if you want to just go a part of the way, that's up to you. Yeah, I mean, if a lot of this is too out there, too esoteric, and too contrary to what you've been conditioned and indoctrinated, may I say, to believe, no problem, right? Each and every one of us has a choice in the present moment. We choose to allow ourselves to be led by the Holy Spirit, by our inner teacher, as far as we're willing to go on a given day, as far as we feel able to go. And you may not feel like you're able to do much right now. And I fully get that. That's part of what we experience here in the world. It's very common, isn't it? So whatever you're capable of today, you do that. And then you get up tomorrow and then you do the same thing. And understand that some days you're going to be able to allow yourself to be led further than other days. Because some days you might get the news that your father has both expectedly and unexpectedly passed away. There may be something like that. Or you may be experiencing something very profound, a profound grief or a fit of rage or a depression, and you feel like you can only make a little bit of progress today. That is huge. Forgive yourself, and we need to give ourselves a lot of grace. Here in the world, we call it TLC, some love, some self-love, and give ourselves a break sometimes because we are really horrible to ourselves in a lot of ways. We're our own worst critic in just about every aspect here in life. And it's very critical that we give ourselves some grace and understand that one day you're not going to be able to go as far here. And we still conceive of it as a path, don't we? As the terms that we use. We use them for teaching and learning purposes, that's all. In fact, there's no path. There's no separate place to go because we've never gone anywhere. And that really is the message here. We're all perfectly at home in God. We appear to be dreaming of exile. It's a dream. That's why they call enlightenment awakening. So I thank you for this question. And it's an excellent question because life has all kinds of circumstances like this. So I do want to invite further questions if you have them, and comments are more than welcome as well. Even if you just want to pop in and say hello, I'd still love to hear from you. And thank you to all of you who have recently joined us. There have been a number of you who have recently subscribed, and I really appreciate that. If you have not, please go ahead and do so. That's the prompt, that arrow here in the corner of your screen. Just click that icon, and you'll be invited to subscribe and join us. There are several videos that appear each week, and once again, I'm more than happy to pause our procession through the text of A Course in Miracles to address topics or questions that are of concern to you. It's very, very important to address what's coming up for us live. That's part of why we have this video series and others, and why we have different ways to get answers here, because this path should generate lots of questions. Okay, so I thank you very much for joining me and for tuning in, and I will see you all soon.